Now, last weekend, roughly 3 million people joined the women's marches across the country to not only protest Donald Trump, but to push for things like reproductive rights and economic justice. Now, it was a massive gathering of not just women. Yes, it's called the Women's March, but there were men, progressives, independents of all shapes, sizes, and colors. So this is truly a big event. So many different people, not just across country, but around the world, getting together to, again, not protest Donald Trump, but to push for progressive priorities and policies. Now, while that was going on, huge progressive march, a number of the most influential figures within the Democratic Party were not at the march. They were instead at a retreat thrown by billionaire donors on something called the Turnberry Isle luxury resort near Miami. So, okay, Saturday, Women's March going on. These Democrats would rather be at a fundraiser, raising money. Not only would they rather be at the fundraiser, but they were at this fundraiser that was hosted by so-called reform conservative, now supposedly allied, or at least had apologized to Bernie Sanders, a man known as David Brock, or what I like to call Clinton henchman or smear merchant. Because that's essentially what this guy is and what he made his career off of. Remember, he would make his career off of calling Anita Hill a little bit nutty and a little bit slutty. That's when he was a conservative. When he was a so-called liberal, he went after Bernie Sanders, coming up with Bernie Bro. And that's something that is continued to be used to smear progressives. Oh, you're just a Bernie Bro. You're a sexist. This guy came up with the whole idea of trying to smear the most liberal senator in the country as a sexist. This guy is garbage. This guy's a piece of shit. That's my opinion on David Brock. Okay. Now, Brock, of course, ran pro-Hillary super PACs and advocacy groups during the campaign. And after it came out, he came up with this plan. Hey, well, obviously the establishment's not working for me anymore. People are really tired of it. And I can't really make money off them anymore. So I'm going to go and I'm going to grovel at Bernie Sanders' feet and try to, apologize to him so that I can get money. This is him trying to build his own fundraising organization. And look, this is what this fundraiser was actually about. See, here's the thing about Brock, too. We do not forget, we do not forgive. Now, who showed up at this? Well, among the attendees at Brock's event, which was obtained by the New Republic, 5 of the candidates running for the chairmanship of the DNC which include Keith Ellison and Thomas Perez. So, Tom Perez, the establishment Obama guy, but you also had Keith Ellison there. Oh, come on, Keith. Really? Come on, man. I'm a little disappointed at Keith Ellison for actually being there. Because, look, I hold this guy to a higher standard. And I don't like the fact that he's at a David Brock fundraiser. I gotta call it out. I don't like this. Here's my advice. Don't hang around people like David Brock because he's toxic. He's bad company. And look, maybe, and I'm stretching, but maybe he was there to offer a progressive perspective, but I don't know. I don't know, but I'm really disappointed in that. Really disappointed. Now, people who were also there, and ironically, this is happening the same time of the Women's March, Planned Parenthood President Cecile Richard, AFL-CIO Political Director Michael Podhorzer, and the presidents of Emily's List, Narrow Pro-Choice America, and the Democracy Alliance. Now, look, again, yes, this was during the Women's March. This was on Friday. To be fair, Richards, Narrow President Isil Hogue, and Emily's List President Stephanie Shriak did go to, yes, they were at the fundraiser on Friday, but they did speak at the Women's March in Washington on Saturday. So, yes, they were there at some point supporting women. So, okay, I'm not going to go too hard on them. Besides, these were people and organizations that already supported Hillary. So, as much as I love the work that they do, I did not support the way that they went. they went in a less progressive direction. But again, they were there, at least. Now, you also had Democracy Alliance President Gara LaMarche, who attended both the retreat and the D.C. march. Now, in all, more than 120 major Democratic donors had showed up, and since it was a fundraiser, likely gave money to David Brock's new organization. Oh boy. Again, anything that David Brock does, I would stay away from. Now, let me give you a list of some of the people who showed up. You're not going to be surprised at all who's on here. James Carville, Rahm Emanuel, Jennifer Granholm, former Joe Biden Chief of Staff Ron Klain, New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, and you also had, for some reason, Keith Olbermann. He was there too. The guy's kind of lost his mind at this point. And you also had another very interesting attendee by the name of Harold Ford Jr. Now, who's Harold Ford Jr.? Well, this guy was last seen in electoral politics, losing in 2006 in a Senate race. After that, he, of course, went straight to Wall Street and has worked there ever since. And get this, while he was there, he appeared on a panel called Democratic Messaging That Can Work. I don't know if you know this, but any sort of democratic messaging given by somebody who's worked for Wall Street, maybe as a lobbyist, I'm not quite sure what he worked at, but if anybody who has that past, who's coming out and saying, I've got some strategies of democratic messaging that can work, not going to work. Aligning yourself with Wall Street is not the way to go. See, progressives are kind of tired of Wall Street. They're tired of corporate Democrats. And let's be honest, the Democratic Party needs progressives if they're ever going to win. They can't. We've seen what happens when progressives decide not to go for Hillary Clinton. We saw what happened, and it was not good for the Democratic Party. And see, here's what's bothering me about that. The current Democratic Party takes too much corporate money and big donor money. I mean, again, some of these people skipped the Women's March in order to be at this resort to raise money with David Brock. This guy's toxic, man. Now, look, I don't know what they're thinking, right? But all I know is that if you actually want to win and enact policy, they need to stop going to these billionaire fundraisers and actually start talking to regular people on the street. Normal Americans. Just Americans. You got to talk to the people. But if you decide to keep going to these swanky fundraisers and raising money for David Brock or with David Brock or with these billionaires that don't always have progressive priorities in mind, and I'm not saying all billionaires are bad, but I'm saying that when you're giving money to the party in order to help your corporate interests, well, that's not a good thing. And I think the Democrats, they're not strong on this. The Democratic Party's so incredibly weak on this issue. Social issues are great. I'm with the Democratic Party 100% on social issues. But when it comes to economic issues, they suck because they take all this corporate money. Any Democrat who takes corporate money, they need to get their ass primaried. And that's it. Anybody, you take corporate money, you're gone. We're kicking you out the door. We're kicking you out the door. We don't need you. We don't want to. What we want are people in office who are actually dedicated to serving real Americans, actual Americans, the regular people, the working class, the middle class, and not billionaire donors and corporations, multinational corporations that have no stake in the United States. That's what we need to do. So, yes, I am super upset at this, that there are these fundraisers that people like Ellison went. Not good, not cool. We've got to get rid of these people out of the party. Primaries. Primaries. That is the one thing the Democrats are so incredibly afraid of. No, don't primary us. Don't give us a challenge. It might hurt us in a general election. Well, fuck that. We are going to primary you, and we're going to take you down. Because you do not serve us anymore. You serve your donors. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent, non-corporate media, go to our Patreon page and become a patron. Patreon.com/TYTNation.